evening, everyone, and welcome to Centa's webinar series today. So, I hope everyone's all excited to join us for today's Centalk session. We have a very interesting topic coming ahead. Please mention in the comments below where you're joining in from and how is everyone doing today. So today we have the session on the topic inquiry-based practices for early years and primary education. We are honored to have Isha Mehta, IBPYP homeroom teacher at Candor International School in Bangalore. Welcome, Isha. Miss Isha Mehta is a dedicated educator with over 12 years of experience with the IBPYP framework. Currently serving as a homeroom teacher at Candor International School in Bangalore. She specializes in inquiry-based teaching, curriculum planning, and implementation, and mentoring new teachers. Isha has participated in more than 16 professional workshops and holds both TESOL and TEFL certification. She has made significant contributions as a creator of educational content and IBPYP resources, earning 3 LinkedIn Top Voice badges in education for her efforts to inspire students and empower fellow educators. Her transformative teaching methods not only enrich her classroom but also positively impact the broader educational community. Welcome again to our esteemed facilitator.
Thank you so much, Santa, for this wonderful introduction. And it's an absolute delight to welcome, a set of, incredible educators today. And they have already announced what is the theme, what's the topic today. So we'll be together actually exploring a lot about inquiry-based practices for early years and in primary education. So let's begin with the session. So the aim of the session we'll begin with, so we'll be understanding the importance of play in early year development, and we'll be discovering some practical strategies from the classroom and how to develop the attribute of learner profile and ATL skill in our young ones. We'll be reflecting on challenges and also the solutions for integrating inquiry in early year education. And also we'll be exploring the essential of inquiry and the role of inquiry teacher and inquiry students in primary education. A thought that always inspires me is from Albert Einstein. He had well said that play is the highest form of research. I can actually relate with it because I had read it once and then I tried, making connection, which is really true because when we engage our young ones through play, so they actually research, they experiment, they fail, they retry, and they come up with, 100 possibilities and they enhance their creativity and thinking skills as well. So I would like to begin with a real life story. So actually one of my very close friend, she's an earlier teacher, and once she told me this, real life incident that happened in her class, and I got really amazed to listen to this. So today I'm here to share this thing with all of you. So when she was having a unit on, it was under the transdisciplinary theme, sharing the planet, and together they were exploring about plants. So it was a regular, lesson where she had planned a worksheet on a plant in different parts of a plant. And then suddenly a student came and he asked a question, why do all the plants have flowers? That was a question that actually moved the entire inquiry, and the entire inquiry was just upside down in the best possible way. And she actually, whatever was planned, she didn't plan for the same thing for the day. And then she took all of them to the garden where students, they actually inquired a lot about plants and how do they look, why are the leaves different in each plant, and then they debated about why do plants have a flower in a particular season, and there were endless questions that actually came up, and they discussed about it, and at the end of the week every single child had a mini project on plant based on the question they had that day in the garden. So this is a real life story that actually happens every single day in our classes. So there is one another anecdote that I have to share from my classroom. So I've been teaching grade 5 for a long time. So it was a unit under how we organize ourselves, and this was an exhibition unit that year. And this child came and he asked a question: why can't everyone have the same amount of money? So this was one question that entirely changed the unit, and then this particular unit, learners, they explored a lot. They researched about the global economic system. They talked about fairness in the resource distribution, and there were many more things. And the most beautiful part was when they came up with the concept of money management system towards the end of this unit. So these are some wonderful stories that I wanted to start my session with. So now I want every single educator present here to reflect on, because we are entirely beginning it from the earlier educators, just to reflect upon what are your strengths and in which areas you are most successful, that are the plus, and minus what are your areas for growth, and what are the areas you really need to work upon when you come out of your class and think about it, and lastly improve. So maybe by the end of the session today, you can think of some specific strategy that I'll be sharing throughout this session, and you can actually use them in your classroom. So this is just a quick self-reflection that you can, do it after your lesson is done. When I talk about kindergarten or any other, grade in the primary section, what is the first step that we as teacher must, keep in mind? So that is just a very respectful and, kind and safe, loving environment. And our young ones, especially I'm talking about the age group 3 to 5, they look at us, they imitate us. It's like mirror. So if you smile at them, they'll smile back at you. And if you have that stare on them, they will feel either sad or they feel really bad, at least that particular day. So how we behave to them, they will just imitate our behavior. So teacher has to be role models. So let's understand early learner. So I have picked it from my IBO. So children are always, the most interested observers, and they are the curious explorers who are capable of constructing meaning on their own. See, they learn through the process of self-discovery. So we don't have to do something special to build in, inquiry in them. So it's inbuilt. So it's their, innate ability to question, to wonder, to theorize, and then they actually, make sense in the world around them. And also, they value what they are today and what they means to the learning community. And this way, we can actually, help them develop the relationship. And then there are several factors we can talk about why play is really important. So play is important because it enhances creativity and adaptability. It builds the foundational knowledge and understanding. It develops skills and positive dispositions. We'll be talking in further slides. And it also supports the self-discovery and social learning. So here I've got some, plays. Like plays can be of different types. Maybe you will be already doing them in your classroom. So we'll start with the physical play. So this helps a lot, especially in building the motor skills with the activities like running, jumping, and climbing. And all the teachers can actually, yeah. So I think, are you able to see the exact slide that Miss Rachel?
Yes, Isha.
Miss Rachel, are you able to see the slide that I'm talking about?
Um, does it say how am I doing as an early year educator?
I think that's the incorrect one. Can you just, yeah, I have just,
Yeah.
are you able to see the right slide that I'm talking about?
Is this anecdote to PYP inquiry in action?
Okay. I think there is some issue. Are you able to see the slide which is approaches to learning right now?
Just give me a moment.
It's slide number 10 that I should be on. I think I'm not able to do it now. So
Is
can
this the
we go
one?
on slide number 10?
Is this the one?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Please go ahead.
Because it was then showing up the same slide. I'm so sorry for that. Because I just realized I tried my another gadget and it wasn't showing up the right slide that I'm talking about.
It's all right, Isha. Please
Okay,
go
thank you
ahead.
so much. So can you continue with this? Okay, so I was talking about the physical play. So physical play is something that you already do in your class. So second type of play that we are talking about is constructive play. So that actually focuses a lot on building and creating, and also building the problem solving skills. So we can ask them, we can actually give them blocks and to build something out of this is one example of it. So they can be games with different rules that they can actually follow and do it, and that is mostly teacher structured. This is also one of the very powerful type of play that earlier teachers can actually practice in their classrooms. Sensory play is very important, where they need to use all their senses to learn, and this is also crucial for the development and including the activities, various activities. So mud play is something that is something you must have in your classrooms. So they actually develop that have they build different things out of clay, and that's they use their creative thinking skills, and this will be a lot of fun as well. So next is child initiated versus adult led. So there can be plays where which is completely uninterrupted, and then there can be plays where you might plan something for them and they are engaged through that. Social play is something where they actually work as a group, and then they play different games. During that, you can actually minutely observe what they're talking, what they're doing, and in between, wherever you feel, you can also join in and ask them various questions about that. Something that they really love is fantasy and dramatic plays. We can actually ask them to enact a role, a play that maybe the story they already know, or they can actually generate their own stories, because little ones are really great at that. So the last one is exploratory and investigative. So maybe you can ask them to go in garden and explore something and create a play out of that. And they love going out in nature and explore new things. And obviously they'll do it in a fun way, in a playful way. So next is the power of uninterrupted play that I was talking about. So here are some possible strategy with the purpose. Purpose has two, it's divided into two further subheadings. One is planning for learning. So that is all about teacher. What is our part as a teacher? So the first thing that we should keep in mind is we have to create stimulating, learning spaces for them. For this, we need to know them first. What are their interests? What are their ideas? And listen to their questions carefully, what they want. Accordingly, we can set up those stations for them. Maybe a child wants to know more about animals. So we can have those toys about different animals, or maybe charts or flashcards. So according to their interest, we can actually set up these learning spaces. So we can also offer a range of material. There are many examples of it. There can be paint, markers, blocks, and many loose parts as well. And we can invite students to co-design routines. It's not always like it has to be completely teacher-led. You can ask student, okay, today let's set up story station. So where in the class you feel will be the best place to set up a story station, or where should we keep these books? So you can actually ask their point of view, their ideas also, to set up these learning stations. We can make resources and material, easily accessible to them. It should be somewhere on their height. They can reach it anytime, whenever they want it. So that is all about planning for their learning. So the second part comes, how do we facilitate learning? We have to, as I started with the story, real life stories, when I started this session today. So we have to monitor them, what they are talking about. We have to document it. We have to listen deeply to their interactions, what they are talking about. And, accordingly, we can take the inquiry further based on their personal questions. While facilitating the learning, we can also make decision about when to remain silent observer and when to engage them into, throughout the play or whatever is planned for the day. So we can offer feedback. And whenever it is required, we can respond by planning and shaping exciting, venues for inquiries. And we can also encourage mobility. So it shouldn't be like, because these are little learners, they want that, time, place to move around, and we can have different fillers in between. We can have post provocation, like every single day, let them think about that, let them be curious, and also to document the entire thing. So next we'll be talking about approaches to learning in early year. So why I kept both the pictures just, beside the approaches to learning picture just beside this. Because play is something they can actually develop all 5 skills, including thinking, research, communication, social, and self-management. So whenever they play, they are really active, they are curious about things, they want to know more about it. So they are actually developing their research skills. So whenever they play, they communicate, they talk with each other. So while doing that, they are unconsciously actually developing their communication skills as a group, because play they mostly do as a group. So they develop their social skills, how to keep things, how to make different patterns. They develop their self-management skills, and of course, they develop their imagination and thinking skills as well. So moving further, here are, through play, here are some, strategy, I must say, where they develop both approaches to learning and IB learner profile attributes. Asking what if questions are very important. We can keep them for even our age group, which is just 4 years old. We can journalize new ideas and investigations with them. They can ask, and while doing that, they will be actually developing their thinking skills. And if we look and connect it to the learner profile attribute, so they become open-minded, they become knowledgeable while doing that. So moving further, research skill is nothing but asking and expressing their questions. They also use all their senses to observe and notice those details. They also notice the relationship and patterns. So obviously they are building their research skills and they are becoming inquirers and thinkers. So taking on pretend roles and situations, that is another example where they can actually build on their listening and speaking skills. Using illustration and to express their ideas is one way to actually enhance their writing abilities, the pre-writing abilities. So they can use a lot of illustration in the kindergarten. And expressing themselves using words or sentences is also perfectly fine. So most of the reflections in kindergarten can also be just orally, where you can listen to them, or if they want to scribble it down, so they can scribble what they want to express. Similarly, they can also work in collaboratively in the group, sharing the turns, helping others, and also being aware of their own and others' feelings. So that is directly developing their social skills. Moving further, there is an example from the real life classroom, where we can actually take them on a walk through a local park or maybe garden, which is very near to your school. So they actually, they have chance to demonstrate their thinking skills, their observation, their research skills, because they will be actually observing and collecting different objects from there. So this is something that every kindergarten teacher must do if there is a relevant unit connected to maybe plants or animals. So secondly, research skills are also developed at the same time, because they record the observation and they illustrate whatever they have observed, maybe when they come back. So they tell you the number of objects they have collected, like pebbles or dry leaves or birds, etc. And this is also something which also fosters self-initiated play. So whenever students are taken out, so they actually engage themselves with the nature and with their friends. So they'll start taking roles and ultimately enhance their social skills. So through engaging in physical activities, also they have the opportunity to develop self-management skills. So that also leads them to develop perseverance, and they actually become the creative thinkers. So moving on, we'll be talking about the role of teachers. Are we able to see the right slide right now? Miss Rachel, I just need your help. I'm so sorry. I'm just messing up with
Yes,
the slide.
no worries. Which section do you want to read out?
I'm actually on the slide number 15 right now.
Yes,
So, are we able to see slide number 15 at this moment?
yes, I am able to see the same. Yes, the process
So, I
is
have
on.
moved it to the 16, but I'm not able to see it on the screen.
Does it
Can
say
you move
role of
it to the,
educator?
yeah.
Yes,
Can we
you are
come on
on.
the role of educator?
Yes, it is on the role of educator.
Yeah,
Can
the
you see
same,
it?
I think, technical glitch or something. I'm just forwarding the slides, but it's stuck just on one place.
We are able to
Okay.
see it. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah, now I can see it. Yeah, thank you so much for your assistance. So let's begin with the role of educator, and there is a practical example from the classroom where students are taken out, and you observe a child who is actually playing with the stone. The student appeared to be, weighing it in his hand, and then there are several possibility. We can ask them the question related to mathematics. So you can ask them, how heavy is the rock? So they'll start, okay, it's pretty heavy or it's lighter in weight. So that concept we can actually clarify at this stage. How does the rock feel like? So surfacing, and most importantly, they are actually using their sense of touch to observe the roughness of the stone, or how smooth is it, how far this rock can travel. So we can also play this little game where they can actually throw the rock, and then they can observe like how far it goes based on the weight of that particular rock. And what are you wondering about the rock? So they might wonder about its color, its pattern. So there'll be a fantastic inquiry. You can actually start using the play. So moving forward to the next slide. I did it, but I think Ms. Rachel, you need to help me with that. So now we'll be talking about what are the common challenges and possible solutions of earlier teachers and teaching practices that they actually do in the classroom. So moving further to the next slide, first of all, we will actually talk about. So Ms. Rachel, I will be requiring your assistance. So let's talk about how to balance play and academic goals. So these are some real life examples or strategies you can say we can actually implement in a classroom. So we can actually make our play project based. Maybe they can create a number booklet. They can create a booklet on different parts of a plant, whatever they observe outside, or maybe related to the particular unit that you are doing with your students. We can have thematic play zones. You can actually, if you are inquiring, your students are inquiring about numbers or the concept of money, you can actually have a grocery store we can set up in the class. We can have interactive walls, so we don't need fancy things for doing that. We can even have, a whiteboard with the magnets where they can actually, add different, numbers or alphabet or different shapes. They can actually have that, playtime where they are actually playing on those interactive walls. Something which is very important for the earlier teachers and any teacher in the primary year, we can actually have our own math and literacy toolkits, which might contain some flashcards or some pictures, question cards, discussion cards, or reading cards, maybe the words that you want to introduce to your students. So this is something really very important. And learning through puppetry is another beautiful thing that we can actually do. Moving further towards the next slide, which is the next challenge actually. So we'll be implementing, I think Miss Rachel, I'll be needing your assistant here. Yeah. So how to implement inquiry-based learning in early years especially, that is one concern. Every early year struggles to have inquiry in the classroom. So we can also have wonder walls for our students. In every single question they ask, we can actually have a wonder booklet in our diary. You can maintain a diary for that. So whenever they ask the question, you can make a note of that in that, and later you can take a sticky note and paste on that wonder wall, and later during the circle time we can actually discuss the question and possible answers for that. Question of the day is something very important, and we don't need those complicated questions here. Simple question, we can start with what, yes, no questions, and slowly, as we know that our students are getting a hang on inquiry questions, so we can have some why, how questions as well for them. Story starters are wonderful. So whenever we sit for the story time in our classroom, so these cards are really wonderful. You can even create, they can be handwritten flashcards for that. You don't have to actually buy those resources. Curiosity box is something that I love. If you have a unit on a particular topic, say animals, so you can have that curiosity box, and it has to be transparent because the kids should be able to see from outside what is inside, and then they start looking at it with curiosity, and they'll start beginning questioning. And then when they ask questions, so it's the time where we will pitch in, and then we'll make a note of that, or maybe we can have a discussion to find out the answers for that. Student-led mini labs are also very helpful if you have a science-led unit at that age. So you can also build or keep one corner where they can actually experiment with the different stuff. So can we move over to the next slide, please? So the next challenge that I'm going to talk about is how to support. Yeah, that's the slide number 21st. How to support diverse developmental levels. Yes, I think it's slide number 20, Ms. Rachel. So how to support diverse developmental levels in the class, because every learner will not be on the same stage. So there are some strategies for that we can actually devise in our early years classroom. So buddy system is always helpful with the rotating roles. So that helps a lot, and so that both the partners will get equal opportunity to explore things together. Differentiated story time is something which we can actually do. So what we can do is we can have different books in the class. Some can be just the picture books. The other one can also be with some, some words in it. So let them read with their own pace, with their own interest. So that is something we call it differentiated story time, where it's not just teacher saying one story and everybody listening to it. So it's like different corner, different students are engaged with the partner or a group, and they're reading one particular book. So flexible task boards are very important in early years. So tasks to be broken into steps, and they should be clearly visible on your whiteboard or the smart board, wherever you are showing it. So they should be just single step tasks that are really helpful for the kids, those who are beginners. So they'll do one step and then they'll ask what next. So that's really helpful. So every small thing they explore in the class. So it's very important to, document their learning. So they can also have their personalized learning folders where they can actually document their learning stories, whatever they learned that particular unit. Timetables, I must say that we have to use a lot of visuals in our timetable itself. So our timetable should be visually appealing. So there's an example that I have just shared here. So we'll be moving to the next slide, Ms. Rachel, which will be all about how to to build independence and agency, especially with the age group, those who are hardly 4, 5, or 6 years old. So choice boards are very helpful throughout the primary year. So you can also provide choice boards with even 5 years old kids. So you can give them different choices. If you want to draw, you can draw. You want to enact this, you can enact. If you want to, okay, go outside, ask an expert about it. So you can even spend that time outside. So this is how we can provide them multiple, options to choose. So that gives them a lot of agency, independence, and a lot of confidence for sure. There are different classroom jobs so we can actually assign to those ones. Somebody can be the line leader, somebody can be the digital helper, those who will be switching off the lights, turning on the lights. So we can have one person like that. So there can be somebody who is actually managing your story corner. The other person can handle your math corner as well. So there can be different roles that you can actually assign and display for your students. And I'm sure many of us are already doing that. Self-service is very important. So that's why I kept telling from the beginning, set up different stations. They should be aware of that, and then we can make them visually appealing as well. So they should be able to, visually identify, okay, this is math station. If I require a particular thing, I need to go visit it and bring it. So it's not every time only teacher giving them stuff. So they should have that independence to know where exactly I'll find this particular thing. So independent learning journals are very important, pretty much similar to the portfolios that they create. And also the reflection corner. So if you don't have a reflection corner in your class, so it is something that you can start doing, because for young learners, they cannot directly think. If you ask them, okay, share big learning, and then what did you learn out of today's lesson, so they won't be able to do that. So we can have this reflection corner where you can actually give them some simple questions or some sentence starters, so they can think about it and then they come up with the wonderful idea. Same way when they are reflecting on their learning, so you can actually have a notepad in your hand and you can scribble what they are saying, and you can actually label the name so along with the reflections. So that will be really helpful. Moving to the next slide, we'll be talking about how to manage behavioral challenges in the classroom. This is another area we need a lot of help, because at times we'll find that there'll be one or the other child needs help, especially managing his or her behavior. So calm down kit is very important. So we can have those sponge balls and maybe soft toys that they can actually play with. So we can have this kit. Nothing you have to do, just bring a basket or something, and you can add all that stress buster, toys in that, and they would love that. Even we can take that bubble sheet, they can pop those bubbles, and they will really have a lot of fun doing that, and a lot of stress will be gone if they are feeling sad that particular day. Emotion cards are also very helpful. So every time a lesson gets over, you can ask them how are they feeling. So they can just show up a particular, okay, I'm feeling happy, I'm sad. So you get to know how they are feeling. So that is another powerful strategy you can actually use in your classroom. Positive reinforcement is really, really important. We can have a star chart. So it's your way how you want to do it, but you should do it at least once in a week for sure. Circle of friend time is really important, and I'm very sure all of us are doing that, because that's a time where we discuss, talk to each other, listen to each other, and that's a great way to enhance the communication skills as well. Classroom rules again should be very interactive with the visual rules. There is a picture so that they can connect. Most of them can connect with that. So I have just added a picture for that as well. Moving further. So the next slide is all about how to introduce abstract concept at that particular age. Bringing concrete objects is something that really helps. So if you can relate to the pictures, so there is a unit going on plants. So you can actually bring a real plant or a flower pot to the class. Because they can connect more with that, and they'll be curious about there is a new object in our classroom, and they will start having that curiosity and many more questions about that particular thing. The treasure hunts are really important. You can have mystery bags. You can ask them to move around and hunt for this. It can be totally like teacher led. Teacher can set up all that for them and then let them inquire, explore. Concept-based storytelling is also very important. Whatever unit you are teaching them, storytelling is a very powerful tool all the times. They learn not only the concepts, but they learn values through stories. So early year must have every day at least 10 to 15 minutes for storytelling. You can use puppets, you can use the books that they have for the storytelling. So that is a wonderful thing we can have in our classroom every single day. Drawing big ideas is also something very important. They love colors. They love to connect themselves with scribbles and illustrations. And you can actually engage them, as a group where they come up with the poster on the theme that you want them to, explore. Role playing is another beautiful, strategy that must happen in early years, because they have amazing ideas and then they come up with the things that always amaze us. Moving further, we'll be talking about, that's the conclusion of, I felt that I'm able to cover all the challenges of the earlier teachers. So how to assess their learning in non-traditional ways? So learning snapshot folders is one thing that we can maintain right from beginning of the year until end, so that we can see the progress, what they have done on the very first page of their folder, and you can actually see the progression and the improvement that has happened over that academic year. So this is something that every teacher also maintains in the classroom. Story-based assessments are very powerful. You can ask them to actually build a story on the concept that was running in the classroom. Student and peer assessment also can be used, yes, for kindergartens. They can actually assess their peer based on, you can ask them to give stars out of 5, how many stars you give. So that is also very powerful. And then they also feel empowered that, yes, they are playing the role of a teacher and they are actually analyzing the work of their peer. They enjoy that process as well. Observation stations are again really important. We can set up some and then let children, engage through that, and we can actually observe kids doing things and we can make anecdotes based on that. Photo reflection, boards are again really important. So wherever they are learning, we can just click a photo of that and we can paste along with a small caption on it. So what was that thing all about, and what was the big learning the child has gained at that particular moment. Maker space is something I'll recommend every kindergartner should have in their classroom, where you just give some loose parts, some objects or blocks, let them create something out of that. Legos can be a great thing if you can have that in your classroom. So they come up with, brilliant ideas and brilliant, gadgets that they will make out of that. So moving further, let's talk about the action, because learning makes no sense until it is used in real life. So I'll be quickly talking about different, scenarios in a classroom that helps them, demonstrate the learner profile attributes. Because at that young learning, age, the demonstration of learner profile attributes is nothing but just an action. So if you've seen, a child who's sharing art material with a peer, so you can quickly make an anecdote that this child was really caring because he's sharing his material with his peer. So the child is caring. So similarly, you find that a child was just, the two children were just walking and one fell down, others came and helped out. So they are actually being caring and helpful at that point of time. So when you observe that they're gathering a group to help, empty a recycling bin, so that is again, they are being balanced and caring towards the nature, the natural environment. So there can be different scenarios where you can see them expressing their feelings. So they are actually acting as the communicators and the reflective learners. if you find that they are actually caring for the class plants or pets, so that's again, so they are being reflective thinkers and caring once again. So there are a number of examples. I'm very sure many of you have in your classroom, and every day you observe them, and I highly recommend that you should make a note of it, because that is nothing but just an action. If they do a very small thing, even if you feel that a child is sick, the other child is just helping that out, so talking to him politely and asking what happened to you, so that child is actually showing the care towards the other child, and we can make a note of that. So that is, those little action will make a big difference when they grow big. Moving on the next slide, it is little important, and also the teachers, those who teach grades, especially grade 3, 4, and 5, can actually do it in their classroom. Ms. Rachel, we can move to the next slide. We call it the golden circle. So this is the golden circle of what, how, and why. So whatever action these little ones take in our class, they should be aware of. They know what they are doing, but they should know how and why they are doing it. Why is really very important. So if they want to say they create a prototype on maybe a machine that collects garbage, so they should be aware of it. How are they going to do it? What will be the purpose of that machine? And why are they doing it? So once they're clear about the why they are doing it, so the action can also have a bigger impact than just doing some actions in their classroom. And this will also, the why also gives them opportunity to reflect on how they are doing it, and also how it will impact people and society, and of course the bigger world around me. Moving further, because now I'll be talking a lot about inquiry in the further slides. So inquiry is nothing but active learning. So it starts with a question. We all are aware of that, and we have already discussed a lot about how to document their questions, and of course to find answers to those questions. So how we can do it in the upper primary grades, especially right from grade 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So whenever they come up with a question, we can actually put it on a wonder wall. So maybe twice in a week, we can find that time where we provide them some resources related to those questions. For example, they've asked a question about, say, government systems. So we can actually find some handouts or some books, or maybe videos or web links related to that particular question. And then we can, in that particular time frame where we have just given them, we can call it a power hour, we can call it my question hunt, or any name, any fancy name you can, it's up to you, whatever you want to get to it. But it's very important to give them that particular time where they can pick up their question, their query, and then they can research about it and document it. And of course, towards the end, they can present the new learning to their friends. So later you can take it to your assemblies as well, like if they want to share that concept or that learning with the bigger audience. So this can be done in, to a bigger audience as well. So inquiry is something that includes everyone with whatever pace, readiness, or capability they are with. So it's for everyone. A child may inquire about, just body system. The other a child might go a step beyond and inquire about something else. So we have to accept everyone with their questions. So whatever questions they come up with. Collaboration is key. So it's very important to include everybody and also take others' perspective on what we are doing. And of course, when they are curious, they ask their questions. So they are actually working on this, and then they are applying their critical thinking skills to develop that particular during that particular learning phase. So this is all about inquiry. Moving further, I will be just showing you just some examples. If this is happening in your classroom, so yes, you are actually doing a wonderful job, and inquiry is happening in your classroom. So if your students are exploring, wondering, questioning, so that is the first phase. But yeah, so we will not say if they are simply asking question but not doing anything after that. So that I won't know, I won't say that it's a deeper inquiry happening. So they must ask questions. They must have that time or resources where they can actually research about that question, find information, sort it out, and then present it to someone else. So that they will be throughout the process, they will be very sincere. They will work hard for it, and then eventually it will become a lifelong learning for them. They'll never forget it. If they're experimenting and playing with possibilities, that is again example. Yes, inquiry is happening when they collect data through a range of sources. Can be net surfing, a video watch, or the book reading, or maybe they are seeking information from a survey or an expert. So yes, that is something, the inquiry is happening in your classroom. If you're giving them a problem cards in mathematics, yes, there is inquiry, and then they are coming up with the multiple solution for that particular problem. So when we start making connection with their real life, that is another example I was talking about before. So there is a possibility of deeper inquiry when they start making real life connection. So the example that I was sharing in the beginning, where students were inquiring about, how we organize ourselves. These kids also involved their families, and they inquired about the financial literacy, what was happening in their families. So it is something when we connect our learning to real life. So, the learning makes much more sense, and they can later apply it in their lives, real life as well. And this is something they'll never forget. The next thing is when they start making predictions, and they start acting purposefully to see what happens. So that is also something, yes, there is a sign the inquiry is happening, and there you are actually helping in building, the creative, critical thinkers for the future. So this is something I really loved. What is deep conceptual learning? So it says that the deep conceptual learning is nothing when individuals they strive to dig deeper into the zone using various strategies and resources. So this was something really amazed me, and then I felt that I should share with you guys. So the next thing that we will be moving towards, I think we are going to just conclude the session with what do inquiry teachers do, and what do inquiry students do. So inquiry teachers do nothing different. They value every student. That is the first step. They research and use meaningful learning engagements. So inquiry teachers are always a good researchers. So they never stand in class unprepared. So I can connect it with myself. So every single day when I come home, I find those 15-20 minutes when I research for some resources. I get prepared for the next day. So every teacher must do that. We support that thinking with prompts and tool is something which we should do. And these tools shouldn't be something really fancy. We can make handwritten flashcards for them. We can create resources. And especially in grade 3, 4, and 5, students themselves can create resources for the class. Like they can create some board games. They can bring some flashcards or reading cards. So later we can laminate that and can use forever for the class. Inquiry teachers are somebody who are always open-minded. We accept everybody's point of view. We always create flexible learning spaces for them, which is really wonderful. It's not like what I have planned for the day. You have to stick to this particular task and you have to complete and give it to me. We can always ask them what they want, how they want to do it. If they are not interested with reading a book, so you can ask them to move out, go seek for an expert, ask him or her, and then they can actually research and find information and later sort it on a piece of paper. Inquiry teachers always extend learning and open-ended questions. They always personalize learning, so moving with each child with their pace, with their interest, with their capability. So this is something I'm saying once again. Something which is very important for a teacher also to measure the product of learning. against the established success criteria in the beginning of the unit, which is really very important. Every single part of learning goal that we had set in the beginning of the unit should be measured, assessed, and of course, one-to-one feedback we can, descriptive feedback we can provide to each child. Moving to the last slide of the session, I believe we'll be talking about inquiry students. How do they look like? They are always curious. They are active. If they are curious, for sure, they are active learners in the classroom. So they research and use meaningful learning engagements. That is for sure. They also support thinking with prompts and tools. I think there is some issue with this, maybe some typo error or something. But inquiry students are always resourceful. They come up with multiple ideas. They respect each other's point of view, and they are wonderful into taking action towards the end of the unit. So whatever they have learned, so they feel like whatever I learned, I'll share it with a bigger audience that will have an impact on the community and beyond. So I think that's all from my side. So I tried my best to share my learning experience, what inquiry looks like, how best earlier teachers can, enhance their teaching learning practices. So this is the conclusion session where we can actually use, this is by the way, one of my favorite. How we can conclude the session is, what are the things that I need to start doing that I wasn't doing before? So you can just, after the session, you can sit for a while and you can think about it. The question is, what do I need to think about? So you have to specify that. And lastly, what are the things I need to stop doing? Yeah, that is the conclusion. So most of the information that I had picked was from my IBO, and I used a lot of pictures from the Google. So I've shown the references. So that's all from my side, Ms. Rachel. And thank you so much for being such patient audience, because there were some technical glitches in between, I know, and thank you so much for your helping hand, Ms. Rachel.
Thank you so much, Isha, and please don't worry about the technical glitches. Our audience is very understanding over here, and I mean, they've seen a lot of sessions, so they are very open to all our facilitators and very engaging. And looking at the comments, I see that a lot of them really
Yeah, I'm able to see that.
positive reactions to your resource. In fact, they are asking for your PPT. And for those asking for the PPT, please feel free to rewatch this video on the YouTube channel that we have right now, as well as on the Center app later on. It will be available. So you can always access this resource over there. And thank you so much, Isha, for sharing a lot of rich examples on inquiry based learning. I think I myself was able to take a few pointers, even though I don't teach, but I think it was very applicable and very useful. And right now, I have a few questions from the audience that I'd like to ask you. So, the first question is, what are some challenges teachers face when implementing inquiry based practice, and how can we, resolve them?
Yes. Well, I have actually kept, I think, most of my slides on the challenges. And there was one of the slide that actually talked about how to foster a challenge, like inquiry in a classroom, and how to seek for, more solutions, like how can we make it better. Especially inquiry may happen in all our classroom, but how to ensure that it's happening deep, it's thoroughly planned. So planning is something which is really very important. And if you are very new to the inquiry setup, so I will recommend that you should go with the guided inquiry. So guided inquiry is nothing but it's totally planned by teacher. Teacher will assign the learning goal. Teacher is going to assign the task and instructions. So that is step-by-step instruction that we can begin with. So for example, there is a unit on, say, maybe energy and its different forms, maybe under how the world works. So you can actually plan a task where they have to research through books maybe, or you can give 2 3 options over there. They may go to a science expert for that, or maybe they can go to lab and explore more about it. So the children, those who are very curious to go outdoors, you can ask them to go out and observe 10 sources of energy that they can actually observe around them. So you make it step by step. So the second form of inquiry, if you are really experienced with inquiry-based teaching learning, so you can actually design a task, co-design a task with the students. So there is a strategy, we call it split screen teaching. So ask your student what exactly they want to learn about that concept. So since I'm giving example of energy, so ask them what exactly they want to find under it. Are they more interested with the form, or they want to explore more about function? And this type of inquiry actually happens in the upper primary grades, because for the early years you have to more or less, it has to be guided. For independent inquiry, you can ask them what should be their goal. Their goal will only come from the interest, the thing that they want to learn about, and then ask them a further question. Okay, if this is what you want to know about, what are the skills that you will be developing? So they'll be saying, okay, if I will go visit library, I'll be developing my research and data collection skills. So finally, what is the learner profile attribute you are going to develop? So they'll be saying, okay, I'll be an inquirer, I will be knowledgeable, I'll be principled, because I will not simply copy paste the information from there. I'll show the courtesy. So there are different ways, because this independent inquiry will only happen with the students, those who are, especially in graded 4 and 5, those who have been with the process for so long. But if you're new to inquiry, your students are new to inquiry, so I will recommend go with guided inquiry. I hope, yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
could
think
answer
your
your
response was so elaborate that they would definitely understand the same. So thank you so much for taking the time to answer that question. I just have one more other question, which is that in the classroom we often have students of very different learning levels, as well as coming from different sort of language backgrounds. So how does inquiry based learning cater to that?
Oh, that's another wonderful question. And if I'm not wrong, I had a slide for that as well, how to bring inclusion, how to actually guide differentiated instructions in the classroom. So especially for the early years, I think I did not touch that concept at all. My bad. We can actually devise trans-languaging and multi-linguistic strategies with them. So the trans-languaging is nothing but you have to explain them the goal and the task in their mother tongue or the language they are comfortable with. Say they are comfortable with Hindi. So we can actually use Hindi to explain what are we going to learn about. Slowly ask them, okay, we have to, there is a particular concept and we have to inquire about this. So learners will be able to make more connection with the language that they know. Because if somebody tells me to do something in Chinese, I might not understand it. So same is the story with kids. If they are not sure about a foreign language, they won't be able to do what to do. So it's better to know what their native language, what their mother tongue is, and we can always have our instructions in the mother tongue. So that is one. And whenever they come up with the solutions for that, slowly, side by side, we can start building their language skills also, because most of the instruction language is just English. So if they are struggling with English, so side by side, we can give them additional support, how they can actually build on that language, maybe additional, reading cards or flashcards, some home assignments that help them. You can even collaborate with parents developing that particular language. But until they are not clear about the language of instruction, you can also use mother tongue with them. That is one. So the best way I do differentiation in my classroom, because I'll give the real life example. So what I do is I have created this learning station in my class, because I have different types of students. I'll just give a very simple example you can connect with. Say in mathematics, I'm introducing addition. So if I teach, say, grade 4, I'm doing addition with 5 digit, with 4 digit, with 3 grouping. So all my learner might not be able to do that. So I can simplify my cards. So on the learning station, I can keep maybe three type of different cards. So it has to be maybe laminated. You can be ready with that, or maybe you can have three different books. One you can pick from grade four. The other one can be from grade three, or other one can be from grade two or one, whatever is the level of your kid, because you will know that better. And you ask them to pick a question that they can do. So let them pick that question, but then once they are sure, they can give you answer for maybe grade two addition sum, say 2 digit by 2 digit. Encourage them to try a question from grade 3. So when they have done that as well, encourage them to answer a question of the same level they are in. So this will take time for sure, but the only thing we have to keep, as I must say, patience. Consistency and encouragement is something that works wonders. Yeah, I think I could answer your question.
Thank you so much for that, Isha, and thank you for taking time to answer that very patiently and giving the audience a very, I think, informative session. I can see the comments and they're repeatedly saying that it's such an informative session, and your content
Thank you
was,
so much.
I think, the peak of the session because a lot of them were requesting the same, whether they could get your PPT. So I think that's a very loud, positive response to today's webinar.
Thank you so much. I think all the questions are done, if I'm not wrong. Thank you so much, Santa, for this wonderful opportunity. So I could share my learning with the bigger audience, and it's a fantastic platform, I must say, for all the educators. I keep watching your videos; are so informative, and I learn something new every time I open your platform and I watch them. So because I'm not an expert, I must reveal that I'm also a learner like all of you. So I learn so many things every single day from you. So I do also create some content for teachers. So that's the Inquiry Classroom. It's available on YouTube and Facebook both if you want to watch those videos. So you can actually go refer to those videos as well. Thank you once again, Santa, for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much, Ms. Rachel, for being so cooperative, patient, and helpful. Because at times I needed your help today. There was some issue with it.
No problem, Isha, and thank you so much
Thank
once
you.
again for joining us. And thank you all once again for tuning in and watching the Center Live webinar. If you have registered and filled out the feedback form for this session, check out the record of participation in the app in the My Learning section. Now, I will guide you through the instructions. Step 1, open the Center app on your device. Step 2, navigate to the ongoing webinar section. Click on the submit feedback. Please note that this option will only be available at 6 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Step 4, during the end of the session, we will share a 4-digit code which is at the bottom of the screen required for feedback. Enter this code to access the feedback form. Step 5, complete the feedback form and you'll be able to download your record of participation instantly. This new process was introduced to streamline your experience and ensure that your participation is instantly recognized. Thank you so much, everyone, for engaging with us today. To register for more such upcoming webinars, please visit the Center app. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.